Hello, welcome back to Nintendo Nostalgia. It is Ryan Black and I together again playing with power. And we are not going to waste any of your time. Besides maybe the first 2 minutes of this podcast, we'll mention the Game Awards. But after that, we're diving right back into where we stopped last week with the Game Awards. With Mario World. We were at the very end of Mario World 2. We are at Donut Plains number 4. And just a quick mention, too, as we do this run through, like Ryan and I will mention the secret areas that we do. But for time's sake, we really want to get through the main course of the game. And then we'll mention any secrets. So if you obsessed, nostalgic playthroughers who know this game inside and out, don't get mad at us. We know that they're there. We'll mention them. And then we're going to have a dedicated episode where we go back and we mention any of the secret episodes and side off levels of where they connect us and how that all connects to Star Road as well, which we have. It's all going to be tied together in its own episode. So, yeah. So Ryan, the amazing Game Awards happened this past week, and I'm being sarcastic. I don't ever watch the Game Awards. I look at Twitter to see the buzz. Most 95% of the time, Nintendo does nothing because Nintendo always, they move to their own rhythm. And Jeff Keighley is never going to. I think Jeff Keighley personally gets annoyed with them. I do. I mean, people talk about how like there's kind of like an anti-Nintendo feeling when it comes to the stuff. I don't know Jeff Keighley at all, but I could get the sense that like. He's annoyed because Nintendo never but this is how Nintendo has always been from the dawn of the gaming industry. Nintendo will move to their own beat. They will not do what everyone else is doing and everyone's begging them to do. Nintendo's been there. It's not like they ignore it, but Nintendo, they do what they want. There were Nintendo won some games. I don't know the specifics of the awards. Pikmin 4 won an award. Mario Wonder won an award. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom did win an award. And forgive me if I've missed anything else. I know those were the bigger ones. But Tears of the Kingdom did not win Game of the Year, which, to be honest, I'm happy.
Mario.
Neither did Mario. I'm happy they didn't because I don't think that they should have. When Breath of the Wild came out, I was rooting for it all the way. I was like, yeah, this game deserves it. Tears of the Kingdom, I mean, we haven't done an episode about it or anything, but like I certainly really did not feel like it earned the praise that Breath of the Wild got. I don't think it did enough. I think it felt so much more of the same. It felt too much of the same thing with so much overwhelming things to do. Personally, and I mean, I won't go on a Tears of the Kingdom rant. Maybe we'll revisit that since this podcast was on hiatus when the hype of that stuff came out, really. But I just didn't think it was worth a Game of the Year, and I would have been a little bit annoyed if it was, because then I would have felt like, well, it just has the Zelda tag, so it just automatically wins because the new Zelda came out. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes there can be a bias like that. So I'm glad it didn't win. I don't think it deserved to win. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's certainly not a bad game, and I would recommend it for people. I don't think it was Game of the Year hype level. Breath of the Wild was because it was new, it was revolutionary, it was different. But this was more of that, if just with a little, I don't know, a little bit more added to it, the mechanics. So, but I did see that announcement that they do plan that the next Zelda will be in a different world. It's not going to feel the same. It's going to be a new take.
Termina.
I would love, honestly, I really...
A reimagined Termina? That would be amazing.
I really would love that. I'm not going to lie. I really would like to take a break. I don't like to get away from Hyrule. I would like to like be off in a distant land that's connected to Hyrule in some way. But I would love to get. I really want a Majora's Mask. I know they probably won't reuse him, but I would love a continuation from that. Like get into the details of the fierce deity mask, and like there's a legend there that they left open ended about that mask in Majora, and that was never quite ever fleshed out. And I just feel like it could be they could do a lot more, and I think it'd be cool. Or maybe jump back in time and let's take a look at the adventure that young Link went on after Termina. Like there is still story to him that was he goes from there to Twilight Princess, and he's a dead skeleton that's been dead for a long time. So it's like you know what happened in between that. I think that would be cool to see. But outside of random tangents here, I think maybe the only Nintendo, they're probably the only company that would drop their biggest online Switch announcement during a Game Awards on their own terms, not at the Game Awards. They announced the 64 trio of games, Harvest Moon, 1080, which we may have to go redo that, do an episode about that. I have some nostalgia for that game with Brad Hunsinger. And then Jet Force Gemini from Rare. So really cool to see that. But it's just funny. I mean, they literally, this big gaming event's going on, and Nintendo announces their own stuff, not at the Game Awards, like, hey, here's some announcements for you for themselves. It's just so Nintendo. Cracks me up.
Yeah, they don't want anybody stealing their spotlight.
No, not at all. And then I guess Sega announced like 5 games, bringing back some classic series that, haven't been touched in years, and people are really hyped about that. It's cool to see. And you'll notice, I did say, here's a trend. Ryan and I were just talking before we started recording. When potential Switch successor talk will happen, but from Nintendo, but like you'll notice that a lot of these games that are being announced are not having the Nintendo name attached to it, that it's going to their system. Honestly, Ryan, and people are surprised because like they did so well on Switch. It's because I'm telling you, Switch 2 is going to be announced. You're going to have a slew of these games coming to Switch 2, whatever it's called. I hope it's called Super Switch personally, but it'll come out to that, and they're keeping it hush right now for Nintendo because that's what they want. So
it's going to be called the Switch Up because it's going to have a second screen that you like flip up. It's going to be awesome.
Bro, that's kind of clever, but how do you get that to work for your television docking?
Well, you dock screen.
You what? Say it again. You froze.
You dock the top screen. And the bottom screen is your controller, kind of like Wii U like.
Interesting. That would be clever. We'll see. Yeah. So, and then my personal favorite was Jurassic Park Survival. I mean, this, Ryan, no idea. Like, this is the game that I have wanted for decades, since Jurassic Park Part 2, which we did an episode back like 4 years ago. Yeah, we did it back. Oh my gosh, probably like 2017, 2018. I was still at the house I built when we did that episode. Traven was on it. We may have to revisit that game and talk about it. But they haven't really. I guess there was one that came out for like Xbox and stuff that I never got to play. But this is like a full-on survival. It takes place right after the main story of the first movie, and you're trying to survive and get off this island. Everyone's already left, and you're the last one there. So I think it's awesome. It's something I've wanted for years. And if it doesn't come to Switch too, well, guess what? It comes to PS5, baby, and I have a PS5, and
Traitor.
that makes me happy. No, you know what? I'm glad I bit the bullet, because when I see games now that come out, I'm like, man, that looks so fun. I no longer have the disappointment of like hoping that comes to Switch, hoping that'll come to Nintendo. I can get it on a PS5 if it never comes. I think it will come to Nintendo, especially this Switch successor. But
will you get it on Nintendo? Or you get it where it looks better?
It's not about what looks better to me. If it comes out day and date with Nintendo, I'll get it. I'll get it for Nintendo. But if it doesn't ever come out for Nintendo, or it comes out like 2 years later, I'll probably get it for the PS5 just so I can play it. So that's kind of my rule. Day and date, I'll buy it for Nintendo. If it's not coming out for another year or two, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it for PS5. I pick and choose too, because like Nintendo, it depends on the game. I like to play with my kids and stuff and family and friends. So like I may opt for a Nintendo version because I can play with more people depending on the game, versus the PS5 version. But all right, that was way more talking than I wanted to do about, the Game Awards. Sorry, guys. That was 10 minutes and 30 seconds. You guys are here to talk about Mario World, and we are jumping right back into Mario World. We're really into World 3 Vanilla Dome, but we have to we stopped short last week, Ryan, and now we've got to go back and revisit Donut Plains 4. So here we go. Donut Plains 4, my friend. We just dive right in, don't we?
Yeah. Donut Plains 4 is the introduction of the multicolored shell right from the get-go. Koopa without any shell on jumps into a yellow shell, and it starts flashing red and like different colors.
It's like a star power.
It's pretty much indestructible, and it homes in on Mario.
Wait, it's not indestructible. If you if you don't know it, if you do your side spin jump, you crush it.
Oh, okay.
But
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I accidentally did it, and because I like to walk through as we talk and about it, and I did that, and yeah.
This kind of is a good point to take a second to talk about the Yoshi powers. So if Yoshi eats this multicolored shell, he gets all of Yoshi's special abilities in the game. So the yellow shell has a ground pound effect. If you hit the ground with Yoshi, there's a stomping effect that happens if there's the yellow shell in his mouth or has the multicolored shell. If you spit out a red shell or have a multicolored shell you spit out, it becomes fireballs. 3 fireballs shooting out. One goes straight, and then one arcs down and one arcs up. Or one goes straight up or at an angle. And if you hold down the jump button, you'll also get the blue shell effect, which will let you fly as well. It's you'll go as long as Yoshi has the shell in the mouth. After a certain amount of time, Yoshi will swallow, and there's an animation letting you know how soon Yoshi's about to swallow the shell. But you can use the power as long as you have the shell, in Yoshi's mouth, and you can fly about or stomp on the ground and things like that. And so this level also introduces blue shells, which lets you fly around with those shells as well. And you've also got your what are those things called? They're not Goombas. They're
something in between. I know what you're talking about.
I'm blanking on their names right now, but anyway,
what about?
So this, yeah, I just wanted to mention that it was there. This level has a lot of verticality. You have to be really careful with the. This is a very pipe-driven level, but the pipes actually move up and down and they shift around. So you have some timing your jumps as things rise and fall. It's not much different than a rising and falling platform. It's just a little bit of a different flavor. It's surprising to see those move. I think the next notable thing that you come across is you're jumping over cliffs and pipes and things like that. Is you come across this stone block. It's got 2 blocks on it and wings. And there's a creature sitting on top of it that's throwing hammers around. It's as a kid, I always called it a chicken. I didn't really actually look at what the sprite work was. I just saw the wings and I thought, oh, it's just a chicken. It's throwing hammers. It's actually a hammer brother, but yeah. So there's it's this platform with wings that floats in an arc back and forth like a pendulum, and this hammer brother sits on top of it and he starts throwing hammers, and you have to try to dodge them, and you can jump up underneath the block to get rid of him. But it's kind of a like in Super Mario Brothers, the Hammer Brothers, they
Right.
were nerve-wracking with those hammers flying everywhere.
Yes. A lot of stress.
And so it's definitely a different challenge that you have to do it, because they're not only like sitting in one place throwing hammers, they're like moving back and forth in an arc. So the hammers could come at different levels and different angles. It's challenging.
It's those guys are called Galoombas, by the way.
Galoombas, okay.
But yeah, it's the level's not super. Whoa, it's not super difficult.
No, it does have some options though, as far as like pipes you can run down and things like that.
Yeah.
The first one that you come to is there's a blue pipe you can go through. It has a piranha plant that jumps up out of it and floats down. But once you go into the pipe, you'll go into this area that has rising and falling pipes. There's a tiny pipe as well. You have some red shell Koopas you have to jump around. You have some tiny pipe platforming and some rising and falling pipes, but nothing too impressive, really. And that really puts you right back out where this Hammer Brother is once you finish that. And you've got another one of those pink blocks, like triangle blocks you can use to run up a wall. And then you have some like hills with some Koopas just hanging out, trying to disrupt your progress. You've got some blue shells and then some Galoombas down below that. You have to dodge. I'm trying to think if there's anything else like really of note here. There is a second blue pipe that you can go down that has a piranha plant as well. And you go to this underground section. There's flying Koopas. There's a dragon coin in that area. You jump over the flying Koopas, knock them out. They're kind of bridging a gap. So if you take out all the Koopas and you can't really get across the gap very easily, you have to run and jump. But you can also bounce off the Koopas to get across the gap. Not too perilous, but you got to be careful not to get hit by enemies. But when you come out of that place, it actually launches you like a cannon out of an angled pipe, and it throws you above one of the Hammer Brothers. Thank goodness you don't have to deal with that one. And it basically sends you over this huge green pipe, and you land right at the goal marker for the middle of the stage. Then the game will kind of throw you some winged Galoombas. To have to deal with. They got kind of a bouncing pattern. They like jump, and then do a bigger jump, and then flutter down. Flutter is kind of generous word for that, but
right.
But we do come across a clear box that has power-ups in it. Depending on when you hit the power-up, it basically transforms on a cycle time. And if you go and you pick it up, you hit it at the right time, you'll get that power up, whether it's a star, a fire flower, or I want to say there's a mushroom. And then maybe not a mushroom, but you do get a feather for sure as one of them. It transforms into that. So you've got a couple of options depending on when you hit the block and when you catch the power up, because it changes as it's falling, moving too.
Right.
You've got a couple more obstacles with Hammer Brothers and flying enemies, but nothing too perilous there. And then you hit the goal tape for the end of that level.
Yeah, don't forget though, there's that little moon up top in the clouds. You remember that?
Oh, I don't think I remember that. No.
Yeah. There's a little moon up top right towards the end of the game, or the end of the level. And if you hit it, it's like stacked. It's on a stack of clouds that you can land on. And it gives you like 3 extra lives.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely handy in this game.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so then on from there, we go to Morton's Castle.
Morton is interesting. So let's go ahead and get into his castle. If you have Yoshi, you'll jump off Yoshi and go in. This is the introduction of the Thwimp for the first time, I believe. Did they have Thwimp in Mario Brothers 3? I don't recall.
I don't. Gosh, you know what? Kyle, he'll kill us if I'm wrong. I'm going to say no. No. Yeah, I'm going to say no. But we could be totally wrong.
They probably had the smaller ones before.
It's been a minute since I played it.
So you're greeted by two thwimps, which are tiny thwomps that jump up and down in an arc back and forth.
Yeah, side to side, yeah.
And you have then you'll come across the
escalators,
giant spike balls, and an escalator that takes you up the stairs.
Yeah, you got a little block that you could. It's always tempting. Like, can I get past this spike without it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always curiosity could kill you, shrink you, but really, it's just kind of it's just an item. But follow the stairs to the top.
There's something really special about this next area. It introduces the thwomps and they have expressions in this game. They glance at you. They look side to side. They glare at you basically with a frown on their face. Close to them, they get like a angry face as they drop down and slam down.
Which they did.
So you're climbing a stone staircase basically.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gap with a fireball that shoots up, but and at the very end, you've got one of your skeletons. What are they called? The dry bones. There we go.
Dry bones. Yes. Which is from Mario 3.
No, it's not.
It's from my first appearance.
Yeah,
this
it's
game.
The first appearance of yes.
They're from Mario 3.
Somewhat indestructible. They're actually just use a cape on them. But if you jump on them, they'll crumble into a pile of bones and then they'll reanimate after a while.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the cape, then they're always going to be a pain in your side. They're going to keep coming back. But yeah, with the cape, you flip them with the cape and they go right away. They fly off the screen, basically.
Yeah. The next area is really kind of just, I wouldn't say it's challenging. Again, I mean, it's Castle 2, so let's not get crazy. It's not going to be as challenging as like Castle 7 or 8, but it's everything's moving. You kind of have to be patient again with this area, right? You know, we got
the blocks shift back and forth
within the walls. Yeah, and I mean, if you're not careful and you don't time your jumps right, you could get squished pretty easily. But it's and there's alternate paths. Once you get like about midway up the first section, it's you could go to the right or to the left. You see coins. You're like, oh, that's tempting. You could move this spring to get over there. And reality, it's just coins. I mean, there's nothing else there. Then you're like, oh, gosh darn it. Now I got to go down. But it allows you to see above, and then you can go over to the other side. And you have to wait. You have to wait for the walls to move to get back up. Spiny dry bones can be killed too if you hit them, if they're underneath a block, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Like a spinning block or whatever, that'll knock them out entirely. Which I don't agree with. I think that they should just be, unless you have star power, I think that they should stay like that. Woo, I almost just got killed. I'm climbing as we talk. I'm actually climbing, and there's like little small bricks that just stand out in squares, and they kind of like that's like a target zone. Make it to that block so then you can like stay on it and the wall won't hit you. But again, if you're trying to move fast, I mean, it's not like you got to be urgent. You don't want to be slow about it, because if you are, well, you're going to get killed, or you're not going to get to the top. And remember, there's a timer. You can't just dilly dally. This isn't Mario Wonder, folks. There is a timer attached to this. And then I'd say maybe right before the door to get up top, if you're not good at jumping, might be the most annoying part of the castle. Honestly, like you're there and they got like maybe 4 or 5 little pillars that you got to jump on and avoid, because if you fall down in the hole, a spike. You could land on spikes, or you could get crushed because the walls they're moving through. So either you're going to get pretty much almost an automatic death, or you're going to get damaged. So you got to just be very careful with that. Move through it fast. Get up to the top. There is a green switch there, and then
green switch block. Yeah, there's a couple of those, but it helps you avoid one of the spikes at least. But then there's another one you can hit that gives you a feather.
Right
before the boss.
Yeah, and then we go through the big door. And then Morton, this one's different. We're on a platform. He drops walls to kind of imprison you to make it to where he'll run in front of the walls. Honestly, he's pretty easy.
He's very reminiscent of Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yes.
And all of those bosses that that run back and forth. You jump on him. He runs up the side of a wall, goes on the ceiling, and then he drops down from the ceiling and tries to crush you. And it's a simple fight. Reed jumps on the head, and he's defeated. But the walls move in closer each time. He gets a little bit faster.
He does. I mean, really, the trick is, honestly, having the cape is actually kind of handicapping you because you want to. I think the biggest key here is just running underneath him, like sprinting. Let him go up the wall. Let him until he's moved a little bit beyond your head. Then you sprint, so he'll miss you. But then as soon as you go underneath, immediately jump because he's going to drop on the floor and shake you. You immediately just jump right when he's falling.
Off the floor.
Yeah, and then you'll just land right on his head. And the deeper you go, I think you might have to do like Mario will like bounce off and then bounce back on like 2 or 3 times. So like it's not like an automatic hit after that first one, but and then you beat him. I mean, it's pretty simple. And then we have another.
When you defeat him, he stretches out, like he throws his hands up and he turns towards the screen.
Yes.
And he like grows really big and then like deflates. It's kind of like a balloon inflating and then just like blows all over the place.
The sweet graphics of the Super Nintendo, baby.
Disappears into the background until he gets tinier and tinier until he goes poof.
Yep. And then we get to see the sweet slideshow, or cut scene back in the day, the top of the line cut scenes. Mario just kicks the castle down,
carries a yellow egg out,
and Yellow Egg says Morton Koopa Jr. of Castle Number 2 is now just a memory. The next area is the underground Vanilla Dome. What traps await Mario in this new world? What will become of Princess Toadstool? And then, bada bing, you get to go. The doors open up, and you go inside of basically it's like a cave. And this area, so we can recap on nostalgia for me personally. This area, I think I might remember more than any other area in the game. This area, yes, the first 2 areas I played with Traven, like I said, but like he had the game, so obviously he beat it as a kid. But every time I came over, it always feel like we like restarted, and because it's not like I spent the night every weekend. It would be like, oh, I spent the night, and then maybe I didn't spend a night for another 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, and then I did again, and it's kind of like we would just start over as little kids, and we spent a ton of time in this area. I definitely remember getting up early Saturday mornings, turning it on while his mom made us breakfast, and we played this game, and in this area, and it looks beautiful, but it doesn't feel comfortable. I mean, the music is kind of eerie. I mean, you're going to hear it in the background. So
I think it's kind of got, I don't know, I think like, I always think of like Gorons whenever I hear this music, that kind of like pipe.
Well, it is a like rocky area music. Too. It's a rocky area. So, and you can just tell. I mean, there's already mystery. There's a castle at the end, and there's a green pipe, and you're like, there's no pathway up to that green pipe. I don't know how to get up there. So you're already like, no pun intended, you're kind of full of wonder when you come into this area, like wondering how to do things. And there's a Boo ghost house, and you already, if you haven't done any secrets, you know that we've already like had our encounter with one. And this one, we'll get to it in a little bit, but this one, honestly, Ryan, I think is one of the most memorable ones out of the entire game, at least for me. And maybe that's just because I'm crazy and said that I was stuck here a lot as a kid, but we'll get to it. But let's go ahead and just dive right into it, man. So take us away, Vanilla Dome 1.
Yeah, Vanilla Dome 1, like Jacob said, underground right away. You've got heading up some staircases you descend down. You've got some kiwi flying down trying to attack you. You got your Buzzy Beetles, usual fare in a cave or underground area. And there's some of those the yellow eye blocks. I call them eye blocks. They've got like, it's like they all have eyes, but have access. It's kind of cruel, but you have access to some blue shells here. So if you have a Yoshi, you can fly around, but you can't really fly around much because you're underground in a cave. So, you get to this area that's like a bunch of. It's kind of like a maze. If you have a feather, you're going to have or the cape, you have a lot easier time doing a spin jump to knock through some of these spinning yellow blocks with the eyes. But if you go underneath, path underneath of them all, and you have to watch out for like the buzzy beetles and things like that. But you can take an underneath path to get around everything if you don't have a cape. But it's a little because you've got, buzzy beetles running at you, and if you jump to be up in an area, you can't go back down underneath. So it's a little bit of a challenge. You have to kind of figure your way around this box of eye blocks. But once you get out of that, and you avoid all of the buzzy beetles, you come across this yellow pipe down, and there's a block on the ground. It's a question ground, and there's a buzzy beetle, and there's these red dotted blocks, or if you've already hit the switch, they'll become red switch blocks that go up in a kind of staircase manner. It's a question block up above. If you hit the question block up above with a buzzy beetle, you'll find out it's a vine that you can climb. This is a secret exit. You climb the vine, you grab a key, go into the keyhole, unlock the secret area. So we're not going to go into the secret area like Jacob said earlier. But if you wanted to continue on, you can. You don't have to have the red blocks to get up there. You can try to get enough speed to fly up there. It's really difficult to do. Or if you just have a Yoshi, you can jump up there. Simple enough. So then the next part, I guess, there's really not much more here to rave about. I don't know. Jacob has kind of more than for this level than I do, but you have opportunity to get flowers primarily in this level, in this one area, the first area. There is, I can't remember which block it is, but there is a up block. Ah, there it is. Okay. So in the area where you were, you have the yellow eye blocks. There is one of the right when you get out of that first, you get all out of the main blocks and you're back into the final stretch before you get to the secret exit. There is a mushroom block where that first spiny is, and they're kind of divided into three sections. Having a little trouble verbalizing that, but so once you get past that secret area, secret exit part, you'll come flying Koopa, red flying Koopa. Then you'll just go through a pipe pretty much, and that'll take you to a much darker background area, and you get a star, and you jump up on this this yellow ledge. It's a really long stretch, and then you realize, oh, it's sinking. And it's sinking into below you. So you jump up on this little yellow round area, and it just starts to slowly sink in. So you have to run as fast as you can. It gives you the star flower, or the star, so you don't have to worry about any enemies stopping you. You just got to run. You got to run before you hit that lava, or else you're done. You're done for. The next part that you'll come to once you go through the pipe is you'll come across a buzzy beetle. This is more of that maze, underground maze feel. There's a few of those yellow blocks, two of those yellow blocks that you have to go and jump through, and you can't go back down once you've hit them unless you have a big Mario mushroom. You'll have run into some buzzy beetles. This is the introduction of a block that you can grab and throw up. I'm not sure if we've touched on that before, but it's a blue block or purple block. When you grab it, it starts flashing, and you can kind of throw it around, kind of like an enemy shell. But after a while, it will disappear. But you can use that as kind of a projectile to take out enemies. It's handy for sure. You'll have to do some more maze-like running. You've got some buzzy beetles running around and like really narrow areas to move. If you're Little Mario, you can run underneath, but you have to watch out for like 4 of the Spinies. I'm having a really tough time describing this really well, so I'm going to kind of move on. Discussing some of the items that you'll come to. Once you've gotten out of the maze part of it, then you'll come across some orange pipes. You've got a piranha plant jumping out of the second one. If you don't have the green switch by now, then you won't have protection out of one of the what's the word I'm looking for? One of the pits, and you have like a red Koopa over there. You can jump over it to help avoid that. You got some more Buzzy Beetles. You come across a really steep hill. You can't just run up it. Like, you have to kind of jump up it. But then there's a Buzzy Beetle that comes down and tries to take you out. So you have to be really careful there. I just died there doing my little playthrough. But luckily there was a halfway point, so I don't have to start all the way over at the beginning of the level. So I'm working on getting back there. In the meantime, I just wanted to kind of point out that there is some level of loneliness to this area. I mean, the music kind of pairs with it, but also just in general, like, I don't know. This whole area is kind of depressing a little bit for me. Okay, so I'm back at the regular spot where I left off and got killed by the steep cliff and the Buzzy Beetle. There is several opportunities to grab some shells. There's a yellow shell and some blue shells. Again, not really helpful when you don't have Yoshi in this area, but more maze mechanics. A couple of coins here or there. A lot of that verticality, like you jump up, you hit a block. At the very end, you'll run into a charge who's kicking footballs around. Probably one of the more annoying charging chucks in the game. He likes to the football has an erratic motion to it because footballs, they fall awkwardly, and so they did really capture that motion pretty well with how when it kicks the football, it bounces. Gives you another level, like you're trying to. It's not like something flying straight at you like a baseball. It's a football that kind of rocks back and forth. It makes it kind of hard to get around and get to him, to jump on him. But once you do jump on him, then he'll become his usual charge himself. And then the goalpost is just a few steps away from that. So it brings us to the end of Vanilla Dome 1. We're going to go ahead and skip the secret exit. Just know that if you take that exit, it's going to take you to a secret level. And then if you go beyond that, you can go on an upper path of the bridge. It's an entire part of the level that you can't really get to unless of the next area, unless you have that secret path unlocked. So, but we're going to go ahead into Vanilla Dome 2. Special note, there is a secret exit here that leads to a switch. We can kind of cover a little bit about Switch, but so this is interesting because it drops you from the ceiling down into a pool of water. You're still in an underground cave, but you're up in the water, and you come out of the water, and you see this like flopping about Cheep Cheep. It's the first real representation of a Cheep Cheep that we've seen that's out of water, flopping around. It's kind of funny. It doesn't actually hurt you. Like, you can run into it, and it doesn't hurt the fish at all. It's pretty much useless outside the water, but once you get in the water, then it gets a little bit more difficult because they're swimming back and forth and things like that. So you got to dodge them. Basically just an underwater water cave. Really cool idea. Cool place to be. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a piranha plant that you can hit that'll take you up to the next area of the cave, but you're basically just caving. You're straight up caving in a water cave, and that's something that definitely speaks to my interests. I love caving and spelunking and what have you. So it's cool to be able to do that. I do want to note there is a swimming mechanic that we haven't touched on yet. If you're holding a Buzzy Beetle, you float to the top, or any shell really. And if you hit down, you can like do a swim downward, but it's kind of the opposite mechanic of when you're not holding anything, where you're kind of doing a swim up. In this case, you kind of do the reverse, where you float up, but then you can swim down. It's kind of a cool little like reverse feel for how things control. And then you end up in this area where there's a lot of like brown blocks that usually turn into coins when you hit the P switch. And there's a mushroom you can get. There's a couple of Cheep Cheeps moving up and down. There's like a row of coins. It's like you're going to come across the P switch at some point with the way this is built out, because there's like a floor of coins. You can choose to pick them up, but if you leave them, they'll become a floor when you drop into that pit. If you do, pit more Cheep Cheeps you have to avoid. There is a fire flower or mushroom, smaller, that you can grab just up outside of the water. And if you decide to take the path upward, you will come across the P. You can hit that P switch. You have to be careful when you hit, though, because there's like walls and things that would block you off from progressing. There's a secret related to that P switch. But you can pick up the P switch. You can carry it. So wherever you want to trigger it, you can do that. There's an area where there's a charge and chuck comes through and breaks through a bunch of those yellow blocks. Cool to see that. But then like, oh wait, no, he's coming for me. So you catch him. And if I kind of like, no matter where you go, you're gonna run into these chucks. Either they jump over and break the blocks, or they'll charge at you with a jump, and then you have to kind of like, you're kind of stuck unless you go back and go forward again, and the charging chuck comes at you again and breaks those blocks. Like you can get into a little Mario and like do a bunch of jumps. Like you can crouch as a big Mario and do a bunch of jumps to get across the gap. But if the charging chuck doesn't blocks, it's kind of an impasse that you reach there, unless you get creative with getting around that. But there's a lot of like ups and downs and different paths you can take here, winding paths. It gives you a lot of options, and there's P switches to give you some more like secrets and things you can go for different paths. It's pretty fun. There is a green pipe you can go down, and you end up in this like, I don't know, it's purple-ish ground, almost like it's icy, and it has a slipping mechanic to it. So you're kind of like in an ice cave area, and it's a little bit more like, I don't know, for me it was more of a gem-like look in the background, like everything's really frozen in that area. But you have like a slip slide mechanic on the ground where that blue is. It's kind of cool. There's some cool experiences to be had here. I definitely have a lot of positive feelings about this level, just because, the caving analog and the water cave and the ups and downs and many different paths you can take. It's a really cool experience to have to experience this in the second area in the Vanilla Dome. It's just, I don't know, it's got its challenge, but it's got its charm too. I love the P switches and figuring out all the different ways that you can go to get things and do things. There is opportunity to get a cape here. It's probably better to have Fire Flower just to get rid of the fish, but it's nice to have a cape about. You can still like use your cape to take out fish in the water and spin about. But it definitely helps you get around some of these blocks a little easier. So once you can go down that pipe with the slippery slide, or you can continue on. You've got some buzzy beetles that challenge you. You've got the bats that flies down at you. There's not a whole lot else really to mention. The underwater, the frozen area, there is some water, Cheep Cheeps floating in some water. So there is some like ice and like frozen cave area. It's really, really pretty with the blue sparkly background. But once you come out of that pipe, or you decide to go you decide not to go down that pipe, you'll end up in this area. It's just a bunch of bats, and it's not super wide here, and so you have to dodge all the bats. And then once you get past the bats, you come across a charging chuck standing on a ledge. But to many players' surprise, this charging chuck breaks out into 3 charging chucks. So this is an added level of difficulty that I don't think anybody was expecting. So now you've got 3 running around trying to attack you, and you have to try to take them out or dodge them by standing on ledges above them. And then, of course, the ledge after that has a buzzy beetle, a spiny running around top of it. So you got to dodge that. And then, of course, you right after that, it's hard right there. Like, they always throw a charging chuck at you at the end, it seems like, in a lot of these levels. Yeah. So once you've gotten past that, you can hit the tape and finish up on Vanilla Dome 2.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, there was a secret exit for the red switch there, but we'll cover that later.
Which, is certainly handy to have, don't get me wrong, but it's another pathway for another time, I guess. um, Ryan, I definitely want to highlight the level we're about to get into, because, and maybe you could tell I will be honest. It's this sticks out so much to me, probably most likely for because of it. Look at it with a nostalgic lens. Yeah, we had that first ghost house that we talked about last week. Then obviously we had more through a secret pathway, but the first one that you really like, if without any like secret passages, we really got to get a feeling of what the ghost houses were like, and you see that they're tricky. You see that there's there's going to be confusion, and we talked about the multiple pathways to get through it. But I don't really feel like that first level, that first ghost level, was, I guess, a certain cause of like great fear. Like, and this is again me being a kid. I feel like this Boo house that we're about to go to really changed the feeling that I got from these boot houses at this point in the game. I really felt like this is where
the horror begins.
Yeah, it was, to me as a kid, it was scary. It really was, because and I mean we're gonna dive in and break it down, obviously, but it wasn't just, hey, we got some tricks that were thrown at you and we're gonna easily get through this. It was there's some danger. There's some real danger here. And I at least for me as a kid, I thought it was a difficult experience. I remember Trey and I dying a lot. I put it that way. I remember dying a lot. So I mean, we can dive into it. We get in as soon as you start. There's these like, they're not boos. They're entirely different looking, actually. But they're ghosts.
They're like ghost dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the certain name. I know the name off the top of my head, or I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but yeah, they're like ghost dinosaurs. Eries, I think they're called Eries. But yeah, there's one up top, so it's kind of like if you don't know what to do, they just come right at you immediately, and you could jump and you could hit them and get damaged or die, or really, you're kind of safest bet. Just duck down, let them come through, let them pass through. That's kind of the safer route that I always like to do. And then they mosey on through, and you'll notice that there's not multiple boos in the sky, so that has changed. But that you once you move forward, you get a different route. You get like a ring of boos moving in circles. Different obstacles are being thrown at us. It's not the same thing. And if you're not careful,
you can run through the boos. They have like they're like in a C shape, so you can kind of like, the circle is broken, so you can kind of run through. You have to wait for them. But if you're really talented, you can crouch or be small Mario and run in between the cracks of boos.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
It takes some challenge to do it.
Time it for sure.
But each of the boos have like the different faces, so they're not just like all the same looking in that configuration. But then you come across your traditional boo. In that next area, they have a touch of one of the platforms has a cobweb on it. It's a nice little touch to the spookiness of it all.
Yeah, and a lot of kind of like what you saw in Mario 3 here. It's a lot of the standard boo looking at you. You stop, look at them. They chase you. They hide.
A lot of up and down platforms, single like 3-block platforms. You have a
long hallway. Hey, I do want to note too, real quick, at that start of that big episode, or of the start of the episode, the level, those Eries, if you are not careful, they actually do turn around and come back at you. So that's something to around the time when the boos are circling and you could get through it. If you're trying to time it out, they do try to come and throw it again. It throws another curveball at you that they could get you. But let's talk about what we're getting at here. Once we get through that pathway of the up and down, it seems pretty simple. But then this is right here. This is where Traven and I, as little boys, were like, "Oh my gosh, there's a giant boo, man!" I mean, this is a big boo.
Big boo.
Big Boo, this is the first time. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm positive this is the first time Big Boo ever made an appearance.
Secrets aside, yes, because in this game you can find them earlier.
And there's more than one. There's two of them. I mean, you kind of have to be patient and guide them to come at you a certain way. They move standardly, you know. It's like they look at you.
They take up a lot of space,
and that's the issue. And I think I try to put myself back into preschool Jacob, preschool time Jacob. That like there is an element of this thing is big and this thing is scary and it is intimidating. So like you jump and you do crazy things. You don't know how to get around it. You're probably not thinking logically right away. The first time you've come to it. I mean, obviously now as an adult, I know how to get by them, but
it's intimidating.
It is intimidating. Eventually you get through it though, and then like the next area is a challenge. You go through that door. Once you get beyond them, you go through the door, and then now we got like giant green snot balls or acid balls or whatever you want to call them.
They call them green bubbles or just bubbles.
They remind you know what they remind me of? They remind me of Mario Land 2, which came out before this, I think. Did it? No, maybe it didn't. Sorry. I gotta look that up. But Mario Land 2, there's a section when you are trying to spoilers, Wario's, you're getting through the castle to get to Wario. There's a whole area where like you have giant orbs bouncing at you like this, and they'll kill you if they touch you. And like they move out the blocks, anything that comes in their path. They're dangerous.
Yeah, they kind of. I always think of them like it always makes me think of like Ghostbusters and Slimer. And I always like called them like ectoplasmic balls. They're big, huge balls that actually, as they move over areas of the stage, it kind of makes them disappear. But you have to basically dodge giant floating balls that move in a serpentine motion towards you. They're on a set path, but you just basically have to dodge whatever. As soon as it pops on the screen, it comes at you at an arc angling down. And if you go backwards, one of the ones from behind you will start headed towards you. Yes. And so you got to be really careful how you run back and forth and everything. And it's a lot of waiting and timing your crouches and jumps to get around these bubbles so they don't take you out. And you have to jump across these like 3-space platforms just to stay, move forward to the level. You can lose a lot of time here just trying to not get hit by these bubbles. Well, it's really cool. I like the look of it. It's a really cool, like different experience for the ghosts. Like they throw you these new ghost experiences, and it definitely elevates the charm of these ghost houses and how scary they are.
It does, and to highlight it is, and again, why this level is frustrating is say you get through there, you get to the end, and then this is where the trickery comes in. That first level, that first ghost house had trickery. Well, now this one I feel like really just introduced difficulty and trickery. If there's a door, and if you're not thinking, you may get it, and you go through it, and that first door takes you right back halfway back through the level. You're back at the ghost platforms with that, and you have to re-go through the big boos, both of them. So it's like crap. And like you said, the timing of the green area, of the green orb area, is difficult. Like you're losing a lot of time to get through this stuff. So it's tricky. If what you have to do, and again, don't let the green orbs. I said that if they move across a block, or if they move across a door, it like erases them for a second where they are. And if there's 3 flippy eye blocks, you got to hit the middle one, and then there is a wonderful P switch, and you might be thinking, oh sweet, I see it. I got to go through the door with the P switch. You're not tricking me again. Doesn't work. Takes you right back. What you got to do is run beyond the door, and then there's coins. You're like, yay, there's coins. Oh, if I hit this, I bet those coins turn into blocks. Yeah, well, collect the coins first because you'll lock yourself out. And then once you do it, boom, you unlock.
There's a secret hidden blue door behind, or purple door behind that if you hit the switch and you've cleared the coins that would block the door from being accessed.
Right. And it's very easy, I think, to just not be thinking and you go through it, or you hit it before you collect the coins. Then you're screwed, and then you kind of have to start over. You shoot yourself in the foot. But yeah, that's the trick. Collect the coins, hit the switch, go through the blue door, boom, you're done.
Are you done?
Yeah, you're done with the main level of the game. You get to get out of there and go through it. It takes you to the exit. But
I did want to highlight there was another secret.
Yeah.
Earlier, if you brave the Big Boo, the first one that you come to, there is there's a bunch of those yellow blocks that you jump on and they flip them. One of them, there's a gap above it in the row above it, and if you jump underneath of it, it'll have a piranha plant a vine basically goes up to the ceiling. You can climb up there and get above a lot of that stuff in that area. Skip that second boo and everything. And it gives you some coins. You had to dodge some of the Eries, but I think just one Erie. But you can pick up some coins up there and skip a big part of that area. Save you some time.
Which is nice, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're a dumb young kid like I was that had never played the game before, you're not going to think to do that unless you accidentally come across it.
I did want to highlight
the regular way.
What?
I said then you just go through the regular way.
I did want to highlight, like, once you go to the overworld map after beating the Vanilla Dome or the Ghost House, there's some regular points on the map, and then there's like bigger ones, and it indicates like a larger, more grandiose level, or like it takes a little bit longer to get through. Like Vanilla Dome 3 is one of those. Vanilla Dome 3 is one of those ones that has like the big block to it. This introduces one of my favorite enemies of the game in this World 3. I'm looking forward to this part. Blarg is the enemy that I like so much.
Blarg. Sounds like a pirate. Yeah, this is again. I mean, you just talk about it. You're riding on some skulls right away. Okay, and you gotta. It just seems intimidating. It seems scary. It seems a bit more intense. I mean, Blargs. I don't like them. They again they keep you on your toes. You're not going to ride these skulls easily through it, right?
Yeah, I love the sound that they make, especially.
Mm-hmm. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really think there's a way to kill him, is there?
I don't think in this game.
I mean, there may be a way we're not thinking of. It seems to happen a lot, but essentially we're going on a ride, right, Ryan? We're going on a ride in this game. The skeletons, they vibrate, they take you through, and I feel like the Blargs, once you understand their movement, you kind of can feel the tempo of when they're going to go down and when to jump up to dodge them. You ride it right through the beginning. Then you get through the pathway of just some more regular enemies, and you come to another skeleton area of skulls to ride across. This one's a much longer path, though. You climb out of those pipes, annoy the piranha plant, jumping head things, and then we take another roller coaster ride. This time we're kind of at an incline, and there's not much jumping room either, so you got to be able to dodge these well, I guess once you get to the top you have more jumping room, but it feels a little bit claustrophobic, go between lava and then a cave head up above, and then these Blargs waiting for you, kind of like sharks in the ocean. Once you get beyond that, though, it's easy to just jump up, climb up over your orange pipes, get a power up if you need it, continue to move on. I don't know. You love this level a lot, Ryan. I'm kind of talking a lot. I don't want to steal all your thunder here. What happens beyond these orange pipes?
So this level is famous for, being like
Annoying.
Underground lava cave where you're stepping on skulls to cross lava pits regularly. It's I kind of like just the feeling, the music, the sounds that the blargs make are just really charming. They like pop their eyes up and they look back and forth and they jump up and they're goofy looking. They really are.
Yeah.
But they're kind of like alligators or dragons or something. I always thought of them as like dragons. But yeah, they jump up and they jump up at an arc and try to get you while you're standing on these skull platforms that are moving slowly across the lava. And you only have 4 blocks to work with, and you're just like, what am I going to do? You know, and it is a challenge to get all of those timings down correctly. It's very grandiose, like I said. It's going to be a bigger level because it shows like a bigger spot on there, so it's going to tell you like this is something big, something new. Like it's going to be a challenge even when you come to it. And you got to be really careful. You got to be patient. It's one of those ones where you got to wait for the platform to move, and you don't know when the next blarg is going to pop up. And then sometimes it'll throw 2 at you in a row or 3 of them. And so you got to time your jumps just right so you don't get hurt. And then also like make sure that the platform doesn't just go into a pit and take you out.
Right.
You get those orange blocks you hit. You can get a feather there, which is great. There isn't really anything you can go down in those first 2 pipes. So. And then you get on to the next area and the blargs jump out and you've got that, claustrophobic area. You got to kind of go through, you get buzzy beetles. Then you get this next area where there's a bunch of pipes with piranha plants.
You think there's a secret?
Come down.
You might think there's a secret, you want to take them all out. Spoiler, there is no secret here, but.
Yeah, nothing there. And then you have the challenge of like, you can jump on the next skull platform that moves along the ground, but then you can't actually stay on it because it runs underneath the ground.
Right.
And so you have to kind of like get through the obstacles that it throws you. There's a piranha plant and a buzzy beetle and a coin block, and you have to try to get on the other side before it falls into the pit. But then you come across
coins, yeah.
Then you come across a pipe that you can go down yellow, and you end up in one of those ice cave areas. A lot of ups and downs with buzzy beetles and water and cheeps and things like that. And you've got the Koopas. You can at the end you can have an opportunity to get another feather, so you can have 2 feathers in this level. Yep, Yoshi
Tell you what,
those
Yoshi coins, I just want to highlight that again, man. Like as a kid, like that Yoshi coin, it doesn't do much really in reality, but it was always tempting, and it was like attractive, and it, like as a kid I'm just like, oh, I gotta get that. It's big, it's extra special, and it had Yoshi's face on it. And I don't know, man, I mean, I was a kid, I was going to Chuck E. Cheese. Golden tokens were like, it was like a popular thing maybe in the 90s with kids, and maybe that was intentional by Nintendo, clever, I don't know, but that coin always felt special to grab, and you always felt like I can miss the little coins, I can't miss that big one.
I really like that this level can give you not only like your full power ups. You can get two feathers. You can get Yoshi here. There's a point. It's challenging, but there's a point where like there's this Koopa basically kicks his shell in this area with those pink triangles in between pipes, and it goes around in like a kind of a diamond shape, or like it goes, or maybe triangular shape, and you have to like basically hit the shell to stop it from like bouncing back and forth. It goes all crazy. And then you can use that shell to throw it up to hit a question block that's out of reach, too high for Mario to jump on. And it opens up a Yoshi egg there. And there's 2 red blocks on either side that'll be dotted if you haven't hit the switch yet. But you can run up the side of the pipe with the pink triangle to get up on top, and then jump up and to grab the Yoshi egg. And have Yoshi to help you with your journey as well. So it's really cool to have all those power-ups. Another reason why I really like this level, because it has all of my favorite things in it.
Yeah, and then I mean, really, you're kind of at the grand finale here. You get Yoshi, and then we're just going up and down, moving some levels, and they throw a lot of blargs at us at the end.
Yeah, we got some blargs going up. You're going up lava hills and then down a lava cliff, like a waterfall. and you have to like kind of jump down from up above to land on the platform and still dodge the blargs. And then you're finally past that part, and you come across an area with a bunch of spinies wandering about up above the ceiling, and then there's spinies running along the bottom part where there's pipes. So you have to kind of get through those areas. It helps a lot if you have Yoshi. It's a ton of help. You just got some simple platforming at the end. You have opportunity to get another feather, which is wonderful. Buzzy beetles. Then you have another opportunity, basically like before, where you run through and you hit the skull platform, but you have to run over top of it because you can't get it because it's underground, basically. And you have a bunch of piranha plants standing in your way to get there in time before you miss the platform. Miss the bus, and you can't get to the end. You've got the tape at the end, but you have to be really careful to grab that, get on that platform before it runs away, before it goes off the cliff and you can't get on that anymore. So you gotta like be patient and get past the piranha plants that are coming down out of the pipes from the ceiling, and get through those and just hope that you get to the platform in time so you can get to the end of the level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, once you get beyond there, really, I mean, that's it, right?
That's all for that
one. Awesome. Well, I mean, I think we're kind of getting long in the tooth with this one. We are behind. If I didn't talk about the Game Awards, we may have finished this one out. But I think Ryan and I, we need to stop there. We don't want these episodes being too long for you guys. So we'll cut it short here. And then when we come back, we're going to come back and finish out this world and move on to the next zone without talking about the Game Awards. So we'll stay right on task. But Ryan, you want to do any final words for us?
I like that this area is really special for you. I like that you have a lot of nostalgia here. Like I had a lot of nostalgia for the first or the second world area, or the second,
Yeah, no, for sure.
So it's kind of cool. I did like that it was vanilla themed. I love vanilla. I love all things vanilla. So Vanilla Dome was pretty cool for me. So it's definitely really. I'm a big vanilla fan, so I was excited to have Vanilla Dome. It was all cave themed. I should have liked it more as a kid, but now that I've had my caving experiences, I definitely appreciate it in a different level. It was kind of cool. They took us underground. I'd experience those things. But that does bring us to the end of the episode this week. You can always find our shows on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora Podcasts, and we have some limited selections on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on TikTok, Nintendo_NOS, on X Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN. Shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com, and you can also call us in on our hotline. Share your memories and show us some love at 317-969-5690. I believe that brings us to the end of this episode, and thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will catch you next week. Later, Preston.
Peace out. Ryan, you want to do any final words for us? And he's gone. Great. So, okay.